That was an energetic and engaging and deeply insightful keynote presentation from our speaker, Dr. Stephen Ritz. Despite the distance, because he delivered his keynote all the way from New York City, his message to us have been clearly communicated and well received. Our participants, I'm sure, completely agree with me. Jim, what do you feel about Dr. Ritz's presentation?
Well, I was inspired for sure, energized. Dr. Ritz is a vibrant teacher, full of zest and passion for his advocacy and work on sustainability, urban planting, and stewardship. Kat, just a personal sharing, I had the honor of meeting this amazing teacher back in Dubai, and we have been friends and in contact, updated with each other's work since 2017. And I think we've done some projects within our community, and I'm just so proud to have his story heard in the Philippines by our dear participants today. We have seen the scope of his work, especially his impact on the world right now. You've seen his work in Dubai, in different places in the United States, and his work being adapted in so many places. So yes, I am inspired and at the same time honored to welcome him back for our open forum. So Dr. Stephen Ritz, Stephen, welcome again to Eat at Docete 2.0. How are you?
I am great and buongiorno. Thank you for having me, Professor Jim and Professor Katrina. And I appreciate the title of Professor and you calling me doctor. And I certainly want to respect the culture of the Philippines, but please, I am simply Stephen and simply honored and delighted to be here. So please call me Stephen.
We are thankful for your generosity and presence, Stephen. We have received some questions for you, and let me start the conversation with our first one. One of our participants asked, how did your students react when you first introduced them to urban planting or to your Green Bronx machine? What were their initial reactions to your new thing? Because this was a new thing, probably in your class. So what was their initial reaction?
Great. So this work has been evolving probably for 10 to 15 years. And, when it first started, the bottom line is, quite frankly, just like you guys, this was an economic reality. I was taking young people, children in the ages of 18 to 21, sometimes who had children of their own and really struggled with school, and moving them from being a part from success to being a part of success. So I instantly had a lot of credibility with young people who were simply looking to make a living. And as I shared in my presentation, one thing I'm most proud of is 2,200 living wage jobs later. Here we are, growing something greater. Now, interestingly enough, I'm now working with a new generation of young students, elementary school students, students who never knew that I was obese, students who never knew some of the challenges that I've had in my life. And when they come to a classroom like this and get to grow plants and get to grow food and get on energy bicycles, everything changes. So it is not, I'm not pushing anything. Literally, I am like the Pied Piper of peas. The kids love to be here and I love having them. Literally, we get more requests and inquiry for work than we know what to do with. But I'm just blessed, honored, and proud to, number one, inspire healthy living, inspire healthy learning, and drive cohesive pedagogy. Because at the end of the day, whether it's the United States or the Philippines, education is the great equalizer. Every child should have access to great education and every teacher needs support.
Before Kat continues, I love that you've showed like a little room tour. Stephen, could you just move your camera again? Because I was in
Sure,
awe a
I'm
while ago.
happy. So check it out. We're literally 4 stories up in the middle of public housing. You guys saw where I live. Literally, it's right outside. It's dark here in New York now, but right here in the classroom, we have tower gardens growing. It's remarkable here. We have a grow unit in the back. We have energy bicycles right here. The kids get on the bicycles. The bicycles generate enough power to drive the TV set, all the electrical equipment. We have a kitchen here. This class is both net positive on food and energy. We have a teaching kitchen back here where the kids literally teach. It is self-contained. It is also a TV broadcast center. For those of you who haven't seen the TV show, Let's Learn with Mr. Ritz or Tower to Table to Tummy, please watch it. And on the other side is a complete classroom. With everything that kids need, including internet connectivity, a couple of other growing apparatuses. We like to use all kinds of technology here. And, you know, right now it's dark outside, but it's light in here. And we are the light inside of the tunnel, inspiring children and communities around the world. We have all kinds of self-directed and self-generated growing technology, simple light shelves that have LED lighting in a grow tent. So this is where we are. The reality is I built this classroom myself. It is a beacon of hope in a community. You'll notice that the walls are green, the floor is green, the ceiling is blue. In Native American culture, green and blue are the same color. They represent where the sky meets the earth. And here, 4 stories up in the poorest congressional district in America, we want the sky to meet the earth and children to meet nature, because, you know, children are dealing with a nature deficit disorder. But more importantly, to the work that you do, this is 100% project-based learning. Everything here involves hands-on activities, children doing, measuring, calculating, and interdisciplinary connections.
Oh, wow. That's my
Yeah.
initial reaction. As I said, I was asking for initial reaction from your students. I was like, I have to pick my jaw, my mouth, pull it up again, and it was just literally on the floor. Kat,
So,
back to
Professor
you.
Jim, let me tell you something. Not only did I build this myself, I paid for it myself. And the beauty of all of this is that it's low cost. You know, you go from a box to a garden in this class in 45 minutes if you're a man and 15 minutes if you're a woman, because you read the directions and watch the video. We are 4 stories up in a walk-up building. This building has no elevator. And literally everything that you see here, I carried up the stairs, my wife and I together, to build for the children. And it's
I love,
100%
Jim, that
affordable.
I love that you were able to create that ecosystem in a small space, making it seem like it's possible to have these spaces in urban areas. Like, it's so inviting. It wants to draw my curiosity.
Love being here. But Professor Katrina, you really bring up an interesting word, and that word is ecosystem. Because for a long time, and particularly in urban America, children are so disconnected from any kind of ecosystem. They, you know, are usually, our children are so marginalized, they are so exploited that they don't realize that they're part of greater living cycles. So when you move children into producing food, you move them up the food chain. Instead of being bottom-end consumers, they become producers. And when they understand that they are producers, they understand that the same water that is in their toilet bowls is the same water that falls from the heavens, is the same water that goes into those tower gardens to help them grow, grow, grow. So literally right here in communities that are least responsible for environmental degradation, but bear the greatest brunt of it, these are the children who are becoming the next generation of environmental stewards and planetary warriors. This is the next generation of food heroes, of equity warriors. And it starts by understanding that we are all living, breathing things, part of one ecosystem, Mother Earth, and that all of our communities are hyper-connected and hyper-local.
Jim, were you going to say something?
No. I just want to pick up on like you mentioned about PBL and everything. And Kat and I were working in Xavier School, and this has been something that we've been doing. And I just recalled something like when we were introducing PBL. Of course, you get the teachers to be on board with you. Like how did you do that when every time you introduce something like this one, when you were introducing, of course it started in your classroom, and then you're slowly getting traction from your friends, colleagues, and even outside your school. Like how, and you're also doing consultancy with other districts or other schools outside the United States. How do you usually do the onboarding? Like if teachers do not want it, or maybe what are their reactions also? How do you get them on board to this kind of amazing, work?
Well, the proof is in the pudding. So realize this school was a failing school. This school was slated to be closed. And my dream for this space right here was not a classroom. It was going to be an urban farm. I was going to take a school and turn it into something that fed the whole community. But I realized that school would be closed, and then my farm would be shut, and I'd be put out of here. So you've got to be flexible. But for me, make no doubt about it, asking for permission is begging for denial. So I really don't ask for too many questions, and I really don't ask for permission. I just give everybody else credit. Now, the other piece is I also believe exclusivity breeds market share. And what do I mean by that? I'd rather succeed with 4 children and have concentric circles of success than try and push everything that I'm doing down everyone's throats. For me, the proof is in the pudding. I walk the walk. I say what I mean what I say, and the evidence and the data supports it. So no one can do everything, but everyone can do something. And for me, it's about giving people a point of entry that they can do something, everything, an all-you-can-eat buffet, or an a la carte item that's going to work for you. Because at the end of the day, I want to respect teachers. But if you want to join me, we are all in and ready to have you. So we have figured out how to scale this both personally and online. Literally, we have Green Bronx Machine down to a program that arrives in a school in a box. The beauty of the internet now is we can do all the training online. We can have kids communicate, and the technology is seamless and available around the world. So hop on in and get on board. Jump into the whole pool if you like, or stick your foot in and get a little wet and find out the water's friendly and come on in. We'll be here.
Sí, puede. I always remember that from you, Stephen. And I love what you've said that, because the next sessions for our teachers will be breakout sessions, and we have amazing teachers and school leaders sharing their own, unique approaches in their own schools and organization. I think our teachers, our participants right now can take the invitation from Dr. Stephen. The proof is in the pudding, and we're not shoving everything down your throat, but we love that we have the likes of Dr. Stephen and or Stephen and other teachers here who are just inviting you to explore new things. You don't have to be completely into it or whatever, but having an open mind. So that's a wonderful reminder, Stephen. Kat, there's another question. Sorry.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we would just like to read this next one. In terms of doing something similar to the Green Bronx, what are cost-effective ways of doing it in schools, especially since some schools have, funding challenges? Are there equipments that are kind of expensive?
So that's a great question. Number one, like I said from the onset, I paid for all of this myself, and I'm basically broke. So what I did do is I specialized in finding low-cost, scalable technology. There is nothing in this room that is expensive. The only thing that's expensive here is human capacity, and that is priceless. But we really, in order to scale, what I focused on was technology that was available around the world, that was safe, that was easy to use, and teacher-friendly. And with that, you can get people on board. All of this, you can fund this with very small grant funding. And then the beauty is, once everybody is doing the same thing, then you can hack your way into the future. So it's important to give everybody on a level playing field at first so you can achieve great things. But that's where beauty comes in. That's where hacking comes in. That's where innovation comes in. Listen, I have LED lights in this classroom that 5 years ago cost $5,000. Now you can buy them on Amazon for $25. So the ability to upsource, resource, recycle, and reuse things based on proven protocols has never been better. And again, what has gotten us here, and let me be clear, in public education, is not what's going to get us to a better, brighter future. We need to think differently. So I do want people to think differently. This work is hard, and this work requires a lot of courage, now more than ever. And the opposite of courage is not cowardice. The opposite of courage is conformity, because even a dead fish can go with the flow. And we are determined not to be dead fish. So don't go with the flow. Be courageous, be bold, be audacious, take a bold step. When Henry Ford invented the car, most people wanted just a faster horse. But Henry Ford realized that the ability to scale a car and the ability to do amazing things with it over time would far exceed the ability to breed a faster horse. So, we've got to think what has gotten us here is not going to successfully get us to the future. And, in a world where fast is becoming increasingly fast and slow is ever painfully becoming slower and slower, you've either got to get on board or get out of the way because you're going to be used up. So innovation is what it's all about. So don't be afraid. You've got to dive in.
Okay.
Yeah, that I love the part where you emphasize that in terms of innovation, you don't really need to, I mean, like spend a lot of money. I think that's always a concern of a lot of schools, especially if the school has a limited fund or similar situations. Um, I also love that you emphasize, that dead fish can even go with the flow. And I mean, like, I love that you're encouraging our dear participants to be courageous, because that's the only thing that we want to happen right now. Just explore and be courageous in trying out new things. Stephen, we have actually some programs in the Department of Education in the Philippines. In Filipino, it's called Gulayan sa Paaralan. It literally means, Kat, you may correct me if I'm wrong, and it's
Go
okay,
ahead.
gardens in school, or something similar like that. And kids are encouraged to plant. They have some gardens, they plant or whatever. But you mentioned about sustainability in terms of equipment or things that we use. How about in the bigger scheme of things? Like, how do we make sure that teachers get to sustain this program, that the schools get to sustain this program, and they don't fizzle out once the key person goes out of the school, or maybe there's a change of leadership and then a new leader comes in with a new program? How do you usually encourage people to continue with this kind of urban planting innovation?
So first and foremost, great questions. Number one, you know who's taking care of this garden? Not me, the kids. And let me be clear, food is a non-negotiable for everyone. If COVID hasn't taught us that, if the pandemic hasn't taught us that, if the supply chain challenges haven't taught us that, food is really a non-negotiable. And in my heart, I believe the most important school supply in the world is food, because children will never be well read if they are not well fed. So giving children access to food is critical. But also you can't perform if you're not well fed. So try teaching a kid who's hungry. Try teaching a child who hasn't eaten in days, or who's just had soda or chips. You wouldn't put vinegar in your Porsche or your Mercedes. And for me, my children are my Mercedes. Now, I really do specialize in low-cost technology. When we designed Green Bronx Machine, we went at it in a very disruptive way. We have, unlimited site licenses, no annual fees, no tiered subscriptions, all of that stuff. We threw that right out the window. And the return on investment here has been phenomenal. So case in point, I'm in one of the most challenged school districts in the United States. This is because the city was spending millions of dollars on interventions, attendance, nutrition, following up. A simple program like this has transformed our school performance from, being a school that was under supervision to outperforming citywide and statewide benchmarks. So we are performing. That return on investment pays for itself. And the human capital, understand, we have teachers who love being in here, children who can't wait to be here. We are attracting talent to a community that most people would not otherwise want to come to. So the ROI on programs like this is phenomenal. And then, of course, there's the teacher satisfaction, the child satisfaction. I'm here because I love being here. Students are here because they want to be in the room. It has created a culture of achievement. I like to say we're putting the culture back into agriculture and reconnecting people to the environment and the world and what's most important to them, nourishing their bodies, their souls, and protecting the planet.
Stephen,
I
well
love
played. Yeah, well played with the putting back the culture in agriculture. Kat has one last question, but I'm very interested as a school leader also, as also someone leading a department, because you mentioned like a lot of teachers love to be part of it. What if they're teaching like another subject, like it's not directly linked, innately directly linked to agriculture or something, like for example math or history? Are what are examples of topics by in math or history or other subject like English, where teachers made use of urban planting? I think this is a concrete way of giving
Well,
our teachers
that's
an
what we
idea.
did with the Green Bronx Machine curriculum. I have a copy of it here, like I shared in my presentation. It is hundreds of pages. It is the art and science of growing vegetables aligned to all content areas. Listen, whatever your passion is out there, computers, poetry, chess, robotics, digital technologies, gaming. You have to connect it to other disciplines. But in terms of math, let's just talk some real fractions, man. Seed germination, percentage of seed germination, measurement, business acumen. My kids have a business plan. We have one of the most successful entrepreneurial group of young children you ever want to meet. So, history was rooted in agriculture. It was Sheikh Zayed who said, grant me agriculture and I will grant you civilization. So the oldest histories involve trading, it involves goods and services. And believe it or not, we're doing a lot of that. Understanding culturally where your food comes from, who has access to what, where, when, and how. Those are real societal issues. That's not just growing plants. So the plant, the garden, if you will, is the smoke and the mirrors. It is the spinach baked into the ice cream of coming to school. But it is everything that these children that are doing around the garden, measuring it, talking about it, communicating it, sending out videos, talking to people about it, creating public service campaigns, eating awareness campaigns. These are the things that really are 21st century school, because school is no longer about a sage on the stage. It is no longer about me being a lecturer. It's no longer me being about this possessor of great knowledge. We've got the internet and cell phones for that. School is really about becoming, for teachers, becoming a guide on the side, a facilitator for co-creation, and a referee to keep children within bounds of their own personal safety and community safety. But for everything else, there's YouTube and the internet.
I really like the fact that you were able to connect to help the children see that they are connected to the bigger scheme of things. Like, it's part of what they see in history, but at the same time, you will be able to apply the things that you learn in the academics, such as in math, in this project. And it's really practical. It's something that they can apply not just in the confines of their academic classrooms, but in something that they also love to do. And a while ago, you mentioned a lot of loaded words that shows that it's so important to have compassion in what we do. Like, we're not just here as teachers to deliver the things that we are supposed to teach in our curriculum. Now, in the phrase compassion is the new curriculum, and perhaps this will be our last question. In the times of COVID-19 pandemic, of course, we have different ways of dealing with it in different parts of the world. But how can our teachers and school practice this idea that their classroom, especially since they're students at their homes, how can we amplify this amazing idea that there's some sort of disconnect when it comes to space between the teachers and students, Stephen?
Well, I'm a big believer that you have to be the I in kind. And I am the I in kind. And every teacher is the I in kind. And here's the other piece. All the data, pre-COVID and post-COVID, really points to one singular fact. And that is, children who have access to one kind, caring adult will succeed in life. So you don't have to be the smartest guy. You don't have to have the most knowledge. The internet has equalized that. But what you do have to be is available. And whether that's being available online, being available emotionally, being available just sometimes to pat a kid on the back. And, that's why I wear this cheese hat. This cheese hat turns a lot of frowns upside down. And if it's something as simple as that, a gracious act that can kind of give me a lens or a critical point of entry to a child's soul, that's the work that I want to do. Look, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. And thank you for calling me Dr. Stephen. But, I'm really Stephen. I am the captain of Los Pollitos, the captain of the crazy little chickens. And what do we want to do? We want to flock together and grow. And here's the thing. When you put a seed in a child's hand, you're making that child a promise. You're making that child a promise that they will see that seed grow into something great, just like they. And my goal is to nurture them. You can't go from seed to harvest without cultivation in the middle. So my work is not about education. It's more about cultivation. It's cultivating the mindset and the willingness to learn and collaborate and cooperate and to, educate. And that's why my other big slogan is education, not asphyxiation. We need to breathe life into everything that we do. Every child needs to be excited about coming to work, and every teacher has to be passionate about being there. Otherwise, it's a zero-sum game. But you can have fun and really impact lives. And let me tell you, I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Stephen Ritz, We are deeply honored and grateful for your inspiring ideas, and we wish we could hear more, but we have very limited time at this moment. And
Well, I'll be
we
back
will welcome.
next year. I'm inviting myself to the Philippines. So I've taken the liberty of inviting myself to come visit you next year.
You're very
And
much
I'll be there,
welcome.
and I want to farm with you. I want to grow with you. I don't want to talk at you. I don't want my hand out. I come for a handshake to work
goodness.
together and grow something greater.
At first, we were so worried about the time zone differences, but you saying that you're willing to come here, we will welcome you. We will welcome you with all our hearts. So thank you very much for letting us be part of your project, and we hope to see you soon in person next year and have a
I
green
don't say
groundsman.
goodbye. I say see you soon. And until
See you
then,
soon.
join us on Let's Learn with Mr. Ritz and check out the website. Stay in touch.
Thank you, Stephen. So much love and
Thank you.
appreciation to you, my dear friend Stephen. Take care and stay safe. And yeah, we're very much excited if we have the opportunity to travel. We hope that we can also visit your classroom. Yes.
Come. And
I
remember,
will actually be there.
teachers change lives. So what will you do to make Epic happen? Get out there and just do it.
Yeah. Kat has just mentioned she'll be in the United States somewhere, well, over our summer vacation here. So Kat may be the first one to visit your classroom. So thank you so much, Stephen.
Oh, bring a flag and we'll mount it. Bring a flag from the Philippines and we'll wave it.
That's so wonderful. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you to our participants who have been listening. I'm pretty sure you've been engaged. We are now proceeding to the next part of our virtual conference, and later on, Kat and Megan will be explaining some of the things that you need to do for our breakout session. So, Stephen, goodbye.
Ciao, ciao. See you soon.
See you later.